listening to this program to be a part of it by calling into the studio. The studio line is 0207371619. You know, perhaps you are aware of the news or the story or it's been in the system, but not many people are really are familiar with it. And it is that there's a revelation that the poverty level among migrant youth in Amsterdam is very high. Especially for the Ghanaians, this is 48%. And among the Morrocans, we are told it's 40%. So the Ghanaian youth have the highest level of poverty, or they're living in poverty. Now, in the next couple of weeks, we hope to be dealing with this topic from the different perspectives, so we can explore the facts around this situation and to see what can be done. In today's program, we have a panel of religious leaders who will be helping us look at the problem, and I'm glad to introduce them to you now. I have this morning in the studio Dr. Rafiq Osman. He is actually the senior pastor and the founder of Treasures Foundation. Senior pastor of Treasures Foundation is a church in Amsterdam, and he also is affiliated with the Victory Outreach here in Amsterdam. Please say hello to our listeners, Dr. Rafiq.
Good morning, listeners.
Dr. Rafiq is also one of the lecturers at the Amsterdam Bible Academy. Next to him, we have Reverend Nana Baden. He is a senior pastor of Love Christian Center. He came here full of love. Say hello to our listeners, please.
Good morning, listeners.
So we're expecting our third panelist to join us. But in the meantime, we got get rolling. Wherever you are, be a part of what's happening in society and let your voice be heard. Thank you, Larry Terry, but that's a nice song. Okay, now I want to ask you, gentlemen, what was your initial reaction to the fact we're about to discuss now concerning the youth of migrant origin in Amsterdam? We're told that the Ghanaian youth actually constitute a higher percentage of those living in poverty. What was your initial reaction? Any of you can break the ice.
Well, it wasn't a shock anyway, because we are dealing with a group, let me put it, a second generation migrants in a country.
Yes.
Now, poverty can be hereditary.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a shock to me, because when we talk of a first generation probably being in the Netherlands the aim was to just work and go home.
So you're saying that this problem is affecting the second generation of Ghanaian migrants?
Yes. Yes, because the initial ones probably wanted just to work and go home.
Yeah. And are they still here or you've gone home?
They're still here. You see, so
they've been here for how many years then?
Probably 20, 30 years. So, but then you have a double mind. You want to go home, you want to stay here. So the focus probably, or your priority might be wrong. And that would in turn affect your kids. Secondly, it looks as if we are segregated in a way that we live in a global world, and we must have a very big horizon connecting with the people in town. So when you are segregated and like you are looking for a job, now if you go to the companies, you realize there's like more often like a family company, not a family company, but this cousin is working here, his brother is working here, his sister-in-law works there. So it's kind of a connection. You see, so we don't have that broader base of a network. So obviously then affects the kids.
So you're saying that we are not really connected with ourselves that well. Our network
is not broad.
Is not broad enough.
That is a fact. And that will affect us, because looking for a job I mean, this modern age is not easy.
Yeah.
A lot of people are being laid off every day. So I mean, what makes money? It's the work you do. It's either you work for the money or your money works for you.
Okay.
Or unless you have some money somewhere. But if you're going to rely on your parents who are not, per se, they didn't have what it takes, and they have tried their best to get you to school, and you need to get some work before you can make ends meet, and getting is difficult. Obviously, then it's difficult.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Dr. Rafiq, give us your take on this. What is your reaction when you first heard or got to know of the situation of the Ghanaian youth as far as poverty is concerned?
It was a bit alarming. I wouldn't say shocking, but alarming. Yeah, because like Pastor Bidin said, they are the second generation. So the hope and the thought is that they will do better than the first generation.
Yeah.
Because they are born here, they are exposed to things that we were not privileged to have. We had to struggle and make our way through the society and be established here. So they came and to kind of carry on from the foundations that we have laid. So to hear this news, it is really alarming. So the question is, did we do a good job? Where is the problem? But if you would permit me, I have some statistics here from 2012.
2012, okay.
Youth statistics.
Yes.
And this is for the whole world. It says 26% of the world is under the age of 15. 41% in Africa, 31% in Asia, including China. 15.9% of people in the world 50 and older cannot read and write. Of all illiterate adults, 2/3 are women. So in other words, 2/3 of women population are illiterate.
In Africa or around the world?
Around the world. About 72 million school-age children in the developing world were not in school in 2005. 57% of them are girls. So less than 1% of what the world spent every year on weapons was needed to put every child into school by the year 2000. But that didn't happen. It says of the 2.2 billion children in the world, nearly half live in poverty. So that's why I said again, it's not shocking because poverty has become a universal epidemic. So 2.2 billion children in the world live in poverty.
2.2 what?
Jesus. Billion children in the world.
Out of about 7 or so billion people in the world altogether.
Yeah.
That's a huge portion.
Yeah, and half live in poverty. So we are talking about 1.1 billion.
1 billion.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Now, can we bring that down to our local situation, because that's a very interesting statistics.
Yeah. And the last one is the UNICEF. UNICEF have 22,000 children die each day due to poverty.
Yes.
22,000 every day.
So poverty is a monster then.
Yes, it is.
It's a monster we need to kill. Well, you finish.
Yeah. So hearing or reading about it, because we spoke on telephone, I asked you where is the source, and you gave me the source. So I went to read a little bit about it. Yeah, it is alarming. And the question, like I stated, is why?
Yes.
And did we do a good job? Definitely, we have doubts about that. But then again, looking at this thing, I would have a question for everyone out there, and also for us here in the studio. How did we get there?
Well, that is what we are here to investigate together. Okay, thank you for that warm-up and introductory remark. Now, according to the report, which we all know about, the Ghanaian youth have the highest percentage in terms of those living in poverty, and that is those from minimum income households. So now, as religious leaders, I want us to try and analyze the consequences of this situation. We may not be experts in terms of, let's say, those who have done the research and to know the in and out, the absolute details of finite details of this situation. But due to our role in society, we are expected to be aware and also to be able to play an important role. Let me see if I can take this call. Yeah, good morning. Yes, good morning. What's your name, please? Oh, Miss Grace, how are you? Okay. Yes, go ahead. If you have a question or remark, go ahead.
It is a little remark. What I see here with the Ghanaian youth, or I'll say because I'm a Ghanaian.
Yes.
Our culture is also part of it. What I've realized personally is if we compare how we live with our kids with the Dutch, we have to invest more time when they are little, when they are growing. And then if they get to the age of 15 to 18, we prepare them to go and live on their own. In our society, what I see is a child can be 21, 25, 28, and still living with a parent.
Wow.
So then that child is still not independent. The moment we prepare, that's why the basics is very important. The moment you make more time, what I see is we don't make time from the basics. So the child will be staying with us until a very old age, and then they are out there. They don't have any network. They don't have any contact.
Yes.
But we prepare them, the basics is good, growing up till 15, then gradually we release them to the society to go and work, to find part-time job, studying in addition to their work. And then if they get to 18, 20, then we are confident enough to let them go and live on their own. This is what most of, I think, our community is not doing. So if they get to the stage where they want to be independent, then they are stuck. They don't have any network, they've not worked before, don't have any experience, and this can affect us. But if you teach the child as of 14, 15, to also earn a little, school, and take responsibility, and that child knows how to spend money. And for the big things, that he or she cannot afford. Because if we look at our community, you see all these children, including my child who is 9, asking for Jordan school shoes and stuff like that. I'm like, what? Wait till you grow, you work, and then you get these things. Until then, you get what I give you. So it's also the attitude of the parents that will bring our children up. And then, gradually, if they go to the society, they will learn how to manage their money. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Very quickly, can you react on this lady's point of view? What do you think?
Well, some are right, some are wrong. Basically, you see, when you live, if everyone is influenced by society. If you tell me I should leave a kid out from 18 years to go and fish out in the world, the reason why most of the kids are not doing well is that they start. I believe some of them start working too early.
Which were our kids?
Yes, maybe 15 years he started, 16 years working with let's say Albert Heijn and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He sees money. You see, when you see money and you are not intelligent enough, you think that the money is enough for you. So 18, 16, he has seen 2,000, he's seen 100 euros, he's seen 15, So he figures out that the money is all right, not thinking into the future. So that already, stops him from educating himself.
No, but what about what he said, contrasting with the native Dutch people, the way they raise their kids? I mean, they groom them to become independent by the time they're 18.
Oh, no.
How does that contrast? You think...
No. I have a lot of Dutch folks who are 20, they live with their parents. Sometimes we even rush out too early because you live with your parents, you're not going to pay rent. That alone will allow you to save some money. If you want to go and mortgage a house, it becomes easy. You move out that early, you're going to pay your rent. You are not fit into the society very well. You don't have a network. You don't have a job. What do you mean? What happens when you're outside there? So it's a bit contradictory because their system is different, our system is different. We can emerge, but here are people who are segregated already. We segregate ourselves a lot
from ourselves.
No, we segregate ourselves from the system in all everywhere you go. Is it London? Is it the United States? Is it France? You see that it's like when you are not accepted, then you segregate yourself. So we become a core group in an area. That is why you can pinpoint South-Oost, because that is where you find a lot of people here.
Yeah.
But probably if you go to Den Haag, if you go to other villages where you have, Ghanaians mixed with other people, they cannot have such issue. Again, we should know that this is a global issue. The big issues, and it looks as if it's only this, neighborhood, this small country of 15, 16 million people. But it's a global issue. How do we attack this issue? How do we stop it? So you're looking for a job. Nobody's giving you the job.
Yes.
How are you going to get the money?
Exactly.
I mean, these are real facts. We should know. It's not about trying to adapt to be a Dutch and move into the system.
No.
I mean, being black alone is an issue. I mean, we should get to just
So are you saying that the statistics that we have it's
biased?
Is to be discredited or not to be taken too seriously?
We need to take it seriously. At least we need to start from somewhere, and that is why we have that. But the basic thing is that the first generation didn't have time. That's why I support everyone. The first generation didn't have time for our kids because we had two minds.
Yes, Kola, hold on, finish your point, sir.
The first generation didn't have time for our kids because we had two minds. We want to go home, we want to stay here. So the focus wasn't there. And that is a problem that's generated to the next generation. So I believe very well, those of us whose kids, let's say their mothers are here and they are also here, their kids might be different.
Okay, let's take this call. Good morning.
Hello, it's me again.
Yeah, good morning, Miss Grace.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, in a point I agree with him, but I don't. The thing is, that is why the government is trying to develop this integration system. The moment you move to a country or you go to a place, no matter the limitation, you try to do your best. I know we're doing our best, and we can do better. We take what is good from them, and what we have, our values, we keep it, which are good. What I see in our society is, like he said, we are sort of centered around us. We don't integrate, so we don't learn anything. What we know is what we do. But there are also better things there that we can learn. And leaving a child to start working at 15 is a system here. That's a Dutch system.
Yes.
They have to do stasje. After some time schooling, they have to do stasje. And stasje is going into the practical, doing practical. We are we were raised British, where we do oral. Here, if you see, they do more
Practical things.
So it's not like leaving your child to go. If you look at it, Dutch people, these children go to live in students' apartments, but weekends they come to their parents.
Yeah, it's true.
Sometimes the parents support them with their financial needs. And it's also how you advise your child and you bring your child up. You're going to work, the money is being monitored by the parent because he's living with you. So sometimes what they spend needs to be accounted for. So it depends. Again, I say it's not easy, but as a parent, you need to have a control over your child until a certain age. And the moment the child goes to a certain level, whether you like it or not, she's going to be independent. And that's where the problem starts. Example is, if you look at children who went to the boarding school in Ghana, and children who stayed at home, you could see the vast difference. Children who were in the boarding school are normally independent. They take initiative earlier than those who lived with their parents all the time. Mostly, not all of them. So what I'm saying is, in general, it's a challenge to us. If we see it as a global thing and we see it as our color is even limited, that's true, but we can do better. And we have to start from somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Yeah. Well, actually, we can choose to have a perspective on it, but once the news is out there, Ghanaian youth are the most poor in the community, blah blah blah. There's a certain stigma it brings with it. But we who are Ghanaians, we are challenged to do something about it, to raise the image and the profile of our young people, and to give them a sense of hope, so that they can become something. If it's going to make us work, double harder, much harder, so that we can produce, good, promising young people. Why not? So it may sound negative and maybe a bit biased, but whatever it is, I think we are put on the spotlight and we are challenged to do something about it. And I believe that is why we are here today.
I agree with you, Apostle Larry. Yeah, we are here to do something about it, and together we can put our little initiatives and quota to try to solve this problem. And if I understand Grace correctly, she's talking about teaching our children responsibilities. And yes, we can teach children responsibilities, but whether they are at home or they are out there, how do you meet the responsibilities becomes a determining factor if you are going to live in poverty or if you are going to live a good life. So after you are 18 or you are 15, what is the qualification you have, and how do you get a job, or what are you going to do to lift you above the poverty level? Yesterday on the news, it is said that it is now a fact here in Holland that they rather have the Eastern Europeans being employed for the jobs that we are qualified to do. But there are certain sectors of the economy, even those people from the East, even though they are cheap, they cannot do those jobs because they are not qualified enough to take those positions. So responsibility might be a factor, but it is more than responsibility.
It's more than responsibility.
Yeah, how many of our kids are taking steps to educate themselves, go to school? And then that brings us back to maybe parenting. The first question is, how many of us from the first generation understand the system in Holland?
Now, hold on one second. Now, we know by default that every child who is in this system registered in the administration of the city hall, there are certain requirements. The government places requirements on the children as far as, let's say, going to school is concerned. So there are people who actually monitor the children's progress and all that. But we do have a feeling or a notion that most of our children don't really go high and far enough in their academic career. And most of them, or some of them, end up becoming either tradesmen, not going high enough in terms of education. And some people think the system is prejudiced against them and all that. So, these are some of the issues that are really confronting us. It's a many-sided issue. But maybe I should just switch to this other point. Now, it is believed that most Ghanaians go to church, and therefore these young people who are living in poverty, in all likelihood, are in our churches. Okay. Now, how does that make us feel as church leaders?
I think that's what is, I find it so difficult to bear. Now, sometimes the society want to shift the blame. This is a blame game. Number one, what they're trying to do is to pick on the leaders of the church, like they are not doing their job well. Which is absolutely wrong. How many hours does a youth spend in church?
Yes.
They come to church a maximum, I don't know other churches, but a maximum of 3 hours, 2 hours. What do you expect the church?
Maybe once or twice in a week.
And once in a 2 hours, they might not be there because they'll be doing their homework and stuff like that. So basically, there's weekends,
Sundays.
And then Sundays, let's say, Sundays. What do you expect a religious leader to do within these 2 hours?
They say that, there's this notion that, people have about church, that because the people in church, the pastors make them pay tithe. Even those of them who are poor, they have to borrow money
You see, that's
to
why
pay their tithe.
that's why I know where
So now we have the opportunity to disabuse this,
that's what I'm saying.
mindset.
I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. I mean, why you know the thing is a global issue. Now, if you want to pick on someone, pick on the person rightly. Don't hide behind and try to pick on the person.
Exactly.
In a way for the person to feel as if he's not doing his job well. Whereby everybody knows how the system works. Now, like 3 days back, I was with about 5 or 6 of my friends, doing a football game. And all of them are complaining that at the end of the year, their jobs were going to go off. They're going to lose their job. I mean, these were not Ghanaians. Let me put it.
They were Ghanaians or none?
They were not Ghanaians, but they're going to lose their jobs. So obviously, it's going to affect their home.
Yes.
We must know what causes this poverty. Not that they are poor. What is the cause of it? If probably the minimum age is so low, and you have a parent earning that much, and probably the person is not educated, as the statistic shows with the United UN, how much do you expect the person to earn? If you don't earn that much, and you are not strong enough, emotionally you'll not even be strong to take care of your child. Because the child is demanding things you might not afford. Whereby the parents have an extensive system whereby you have your auntie, you have your uncle, you're taking care of somebody in Ghana, and all. These are all factors that affect us. So it's the focus is not there, and then it's becoming generational. It's becoming generational. So we need to go back to parenting.
Let's hold on. Yes,
we need to go back to parenting, to have our priority. What is the first priority?
Okay.
You brought these people to this world. You brought these kids to the world.
Yeah.
How are you planning for their future? How do you expect them to be in the future? But it should not shift the blame to the spiritual leaders.
Yes.
That's what I don't
agree.
I don't agree.
Okay, let's take this caller and then I will proceed. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I think today I'm doing a program with you. It's great again.
Go, no problem. You're most welcome.
Yeah. Talking about the shift to the churches, in a way, I think all the churches will be blamed. First of all, we are not united. And first of all, our faces are not being shown, only our names. What are we doing in a community? I think this is a challenge to the churches. If we impact also socially, for the results to be seen, then the church will be taken out of this issue. But whereas they know Ghanaians go to churches and this issue is pending, then I think they can relate our lifestyle to the church. So the church does something
about it.
So we do something about it, and that's why I like the unity that you're talking about churches. If we come together and we initiate something big, then it will be seen.
Yes.
But whereas we operate, small, in our small community now, we have, the other time they were saying, my colleagues normally say, hey, you're Ghanaian. We know in Burma you have about 50 churches.
Yeah.
Yes. That is what they say, 50 churches, that's it. But they don't say anything what we are doing.
100 churches.
So until we let our deeds be known, they are going to say, well, we are many, but we don't do anything. And they can relate this issue to us. Why? And I think they are right because we are in the community where the churches are there with the community.
Yes.
So where do they take this issue from? The parents are in the church, the children are there, and also the leaders are there. And this is happening. What is the church doing? That is our question now. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, the Bible says that the church is the light of the world anyway. So if we are picking on the churches, it means that we are visible somehow in their eyes. Now, clearly, I think the churches or church leaders, for that matter, may not have, let's say, the skill or the knowledge to directly do something about the problem. But I think what is being relied here upon is our influence, our ability to mobilize or to push or to maybe shift resources in such a way that something can happen. And this is where I think we shouldn't shy away from the problem. We should find a way to face it and even somehow begin to do something. How do you respond to the lady's remark, or if you want to?
No, I think both Grace and Pastor Baden have a good point. We need to understand that the church is the organism that the Lord has left here on earth to bring transformation.
Yes.
So the focus of the church is not only spiritual.
No.
We are to solve issues like this.
Like this,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, we cannot put our fingers over our faces and say, oh no, it's more than that. You know, I'm sitting here and the question is, okay, like I read the site link you gave me, I didn't see their definition of poverty. That's number one. You know, what do they mean by poverty?
Well, they're talking about people living with minimum income.
Minimum income, okay. So then it means, yeah, work is the issue. Education is another factor. Because poverty includes medical issues and other things, you know, where even when you don't have a voice to contribute to development, is all seen as what poverty. So if they are based on this, then our focus is about education and also availability of jobs and how to sustain oneself. So the church can play a major role in that by taking community projects as well. So we can contribute to that. And we are already contributing to that in our messages by educating our congregation on how to have self-confidence, how to go out there and, you know, be who they are in the world. Because also it's a fact in Holland or Amsterdam that Ghanaians are known to be one of the best workers. Yes, we work hard. So church has also contributed in, you know, letting our people maintain their jobs and even have credit for what they do. So we are doing a good job, but we still can do better, like Grace said. So having said that, I think the youth, we should also remember, have their mind of their own. I'm a parent, you know, and when it comes to parenting, the question is there a perfect way to parent a child? I have 5 children, 2 grandchildren. Sometimes I look at them and I keep asking myself, where did I go wrong? Because you try to give them the best you have or you can, but still it's like your best is not enough. And the latest statistics, you know, these days these children are called the millennials. And the millennials are seen as a completely different breed. You know, the young people of today who are referred to as the millennials, they are a complete different breed. And statistics show that they spend more time with their peers than even interacting with the world.
No, but when I was growing up, for example, I didn't spend my time with my parents per se. I mean, I was with my friends, you know, my child, you know, guys. Of course, maybe some school-based and stuff like that. Is it any different from that?
Yeah, very different. This time, a child can be in the house or in the church. Just the presence is in the church, but everything is outside there because they are busy what's happened while the pastor is pouring his heart and preaching and teaching. They are just what's happening. The child can be at home. You think your child is learning, go to the bedroom, he or she is on the telephone or on the internet chatting with friends. So they spend more time within their groups than wherever they are or whatever they do. Even schools have to either find a way to take the telephones from them. Otherwise, even when they are in class, they are still not listening to the lecture.
Wow. I think basically, listening to Grace, the church, as you say, has failed in a way. A way in the sense that a church will not mind, you know, spending thousands of euros to buy instruments. They will not spend 100 euros to go and buy materials to teach the children. we have misplaced.
I don't know whether that. Okay, you finish. You learn. Let me see.
No, we came out this issue because we're discussing things concerning the youth in our church, and we realized that we spend more on unnecessary things than spending on the future
of the children who are with us.
I mean, we didn't mind taking 40,000, go and buy a church instrument. For what? Probably the place cannot even, I mean, so small to take, a 5,000 or 2,000 or even 1,000, 1,000 worth of instruments. But we'll spend that much to decorate the place, make it nice. Meanwhile, all the kids in the church, are suffering. Some of the money can even be used for, additional classes to get them, on track.
Yeah.
And these are some of the things I believe will fail because our priorities are not on the kids. When our priorities are on the kids, then obviously we would have, programs or projects concerning the parents how they can raise their information.
Yeah.
But sometimes we turn off too spiritual that see if our brains are not working. And everything is termed spiritual.
Yeah.
Maybe your child is not even doing well. Instead of you to go for research, check what is wrong with the child. And then it's like, oh, maybe, it's the devil doing that. Yeah. Probably you can even go down the blood and see that probably you were not good in education or through the line. So what can I do? What kind of extra classes can I give to my child? And when your child is not good by the age of 4 or 5, you know. Yeah. And that is where we need to rediscover our parenting capabilities. That will help.
Okay.
But again, that goes back to my point where a parent is earning maybe 1,200 euros, and then you work that late in the night.
Exactly.
By the time you come home, you're already tired.
Exactly.
You will not be able to, kind of look into what your child is even doing.
Yes.
And because of the media, which is, I find it more disadvantageous than advantage, because now with your tablet or your phone, you have the whole world in your hands.
Absolutely.
So if you have a child who does not, is not focused and doesn't want to learn, when you're not home, the next minute, in the house, everywhere, there's a Wi-Fi there. Yeah. Every corner, you can just access his thing.
Yes.
And because we have not trained them well, if you take the thing from him, it looks as if we are punishing him. And you are building an opinion that my father is wicked, my mother is wicked. So the moment the person has, some liberty, he has some friends outside there who are, good, then their parents are wicked.
And their friends are
their friends are good. Then all their attention goes to the friends.
Yeah.
They will not tell you anything. They will not tell you any problem. How are you? I'm fine. Then the next day, all the information goes to your kids. So I believe we have a work to do, but they should not apportion the thing to the pastors anyway.
Okay, let me. I want us to talk about this. According to the statistics, the Ghanaians have a higher percentage of youth in poverty. Now, so how have the other migrant groups done it? So much so that they apparently are faring better than us. Is there something that we can learn from the way they have raised their kids, or is it that they are older in the system than us, or what is it? Can we compare and contrast ourselves with them?
Well, their percentage also give it.
Yes, Morrocans are 40%.
Yes. How many migrants do you have in this country?
Well,
yes. And how many percentage were given?
Well, I mean, for this report we're looking at only the two. But if you go to the the Monitor panel or something like that, I think there are a whole lot of we can see a breakdown. But I think they focus on the serious, which is
I don't think it's serious. You see, when a system want to pick on a people, they have any nice way of picking on them.
Yeah.
When you are poor, then obviously, how do you get me? Then you're a thief. You're a criminal. How do you make ends meet? Then you have a way of making your money. You see, there's also a political issue in this whole thing.
Well, I don't think we should see it that way, because if we look, because I think whatever is being said, it may sound negative, it may sound prejudicial, it may sound, not so favorable, it may sound discriminatory, or whatever we want to target. But at the same time, I think it places in our hands a weapon, or a challenge, whereby we prove that, hey, we can do well. We can turn it around and make something good come out of it.
Who's going to write the statistics for us?
Come again?
Who's going to write the statistics? To prove to who that we're doing well.
Well, okay, I don't know about you.
Yeah,
I want to say that this is an issue that has come on our hands, so we don't have to do nothing about it. You know, it shows that there's a need.
There's a need.
And whenever there's a need, as Christians, it calls for the start of a new ministry. Because ministry starts up when there's always a need.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't need to elaborate on that. And back to your question, why the Ghanaians? I think the Ghanaians also have the highest population of migrants in Southeast. I don't have the statistics for the whole of Amsterdam. So I think that we have the highest migrant population.
We were more than the Moroccans and the Turkish?
Yes, I mean in Southeast.
In Southeast you mean?
Okay, I know, but the whole of Amsterdam, I'm not aware of that. But if we are now number one in Southeast, then
Number one?
is number one also in so many.
No, I think I have something
Let me
to
seize
say.
the opportunity to welcome good friend, Morrocan, Reverend John Osajimati, alias Teacher also. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a concern for the church, you know, and the church is there to meet needs, you know, and just like parents, we are there to support. I think the church is also there to support and build healthy communities, because our Lord Jesus Christ went to cities, and the Bible records people that impacted cities.
Yeah.
Saul of Tarsus, you know. Why? So cities are also important for God. So if we are in Amsterdam and there is an issue, then we need to see how we can be part of the solution.
Okay, let me take this call. Good morning, Father.
Good morning, it's me again.
Yes, Miss Grace.
Can I go ahead?
Go ahead, yes.
Okay. What I want to say is you can be rich and still be poor. This is what we have to consider. I think Ghanaians have a lot to offer than what we are offering now. And if we can manage our resources, what we have well, then I think by God's grace, this issue will be taken of us. You know, when did we got used to riding bicycles in this country? You see a Dutch guy who has got a good position, but still take the bicycle to work or take the children with a bicycle to school. You see the Ghanaian youth taking cabo and stuff like that just for a short distance. All these we have to actually integrate. We have to learn certain things because you can be with a neighbor, a Dutch neighbor, who is basically doing the same job as you're doing. But they go to their holidays all right, and they do the normal things to meet the Dutch standard. And I don't believe that they're getting any extra money done.
The salary.
You know, it's the management and how we plan. What I see is, of course, we have our first home where we came from, Ghana, and we have projects. So where is our priority? Most of the time, our priority lies more in our home country, doing projects, and then we forget our children. Now, I read in the Metro statistics about Morrocan, Turkish, and the Iranians people here. And what they realize is that Iran people are doing well than the Moroccans and the Turkish ones, because the Iran people are integrating and they are intermarrying in the community, whereas the Turkish and the Moroccans marry themselves. This can also be an issue. So it comes back to, if we come to a local community, it is the integration, how you indulge with the other culture. It shouldn't be Dutch alone.
You are making a very good point here. Because I think Ghanaians tend to very much marry among themselves. And the thing is that if one is poor, the other is poor. Poor plus poor really becomes sometimes double poor. They don't have a...
With the knowledge, the education level. Because if you see somebody who is married to another culture and they have a child, you can see the difference. The way of thinking is more elaborated than just being in your own. I'm not saying our culture is no, but then if you integrate more, you are open-minded.
Absolutely.
You learn more.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to do.
Okay.
Than just being within our community.
All right, let me just stop you right there. Thank you very much. Thank you for contribution, Ms. Grace. I want to give teacher a chance to share his thoughts on this topic. We'll be talking about poverty among Ghanaian youth, and most of our young people are in our churches, as they're saying, and most of them are coming from households with minimum income. So the poverty among the Ghanaians is higher. Ghanaians 48%, Morrocans 40%, and the rest. But we are on top in terms of young people who are, who are living in poverty, so to speak. What do you think about that, and what do you think how do we respond to that as church leaders?
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, before I want to just add my contribution,
Yeah.
I want to know on which basis is
The-
those people under the
poverty.
income of their parents
Yeah.
or themselves. I have to know which area.
Okay,
If they are bringing that statistics,
Yes.
I want to know exactly which area.
yeah,
And
what the
then
basis, huh?
The basis, which area the children are grouped. The group, those who are people who are living in poverty, are they under the control of their mother or the
Yes.
income of their mother, or they are on their own?
No, they are living with their parents. If my judgment is correct, or interpretation is correct, these are young people from homes. Most of them single parent homes.
Okay.
Yes,
Then
most of them from single parent homes.
Yeah, because then the thing is, it's clear to me because if they are living, sorry,
Get some water.
I know that single parents have a problem in terms of income,
Yes.
in terms of how they manage things. But I think that the only thing that the church can do
Yeah.
is extend our hand. But it's difficult if parents, somebody has not come up that in this situation, how can the pastor know? Or how can we know to help?
Unless you are told.
And most of Ghanaians are very inclusive.
Yeah.
They are not open-minded. So it's difficult for us to come out to know who is living in the
And on the poverty line or below poverty and all that.
poverty line.
Yeah.
Because some of the parents, even though they are living in their income, you may see that their income is very less,
Yes.
but they want to live in a very
A lavish way.
So it's difficult for the pastors
What's
to know. Because number one, nobody comes to you and tell you that this.
I'm struggling.
Sometimes in our church,
Yeah.
you used to collect food stuffs and give it to those who are not working.
Yeah.
But you'll be shocked that you make an announcement, none of them will come. Those who are outside will rather will hear it and come and take and they go. Because we are so inclusive, we are not open. So when it comes in that way, it's difficult for us. That is why I think it's a burden to the community leaders to know who are these people who are living in this area of poverty, and how can we extend our hands to those people. I think that is what I'll say.
Okay, thank you very much. Our time is almost up. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, yes.
You have to get to the microphone so we can hear you.
Thank you. What I want to say here is that all the time the city council will want to have their research done, or they want a verdict. They will want to involve the church community. But yet we are also in a country where they said the church is separated from the society. That's
From the state,
from the state, okay? I don't know whether they have realized the importance of the pastors or the spiritual leaders in the city.
May I interrupt you a little so we can just take the news quickly and come back? Is that okay?
Okay.
Met de complimenten van Razo wordt u aangeboden het nieuws.
Het ochtendbulletin van maandag 24 november. De hoofdpunten. Amsterdam gaat de bouw fors stimuleren. PvdA pleit voor kinderbijslag Caribische gemeenten. Goedemorgen, ik ben Meredith Richards. Amsterdam gaat de bouw fors stimuleren en wil het aantal woningen per jaar opvoeren tot 5000 in 2018, wanneer de bestuursperiode afloopt. Om dit te bereiken wordt gezorgd voor snellere procedures, duidelijkere regels en een open houding naar bouwers en ontwikkelaars. Het college van burgemeester en wethouders heeft ingestemd met het actieplan Woningbouw 2014 tot 2018. Hierin staan 7 stimulerende maatregelen om de bouwproductie te stimuleren, zodat er aan de grote vraag naar meer kwalitatieve en betaalbare woningen voor alle Amsterdammers kan worden voldaan. Het college trekt voor de extra bouwstimulering 60 miljoen euro uit. Elk jaar komen er in de stad 10.000 mensen bij. Een van de actiepunten is het uitgeven van bouwkavels. Hiervoor komt er begin volgend jaar een uitgifteschema voor de komende 2 jaar. Het aantal levensberovingen in Suriname is dit jaar gestegen in vergelijking met vorig jaar. Er zijn dit jaar 30 gevallen gemeld tegenover 28 vorig jaar. Veel gevallen deden zich voor in huiselijke en relationele sfeer. Er waren 3 afrekeningen. Er is een dalende of stabiele trend van inbraken, berovingen, diefstallen met geweld en verkeersdoden. Korpschef Chinlipchi verwacht een overal afname van de misdaad. De Tweede Kamerfractie van de Partij van de Arbeid pleit voor kinderbijslag voor de bijzondere Nederlandse gemeenten Saba, Sint-Eustatius en Bonaire. Elk gezin met kinderen zou per kind 30 euro per maand moeten ontvangen. Deze regeling moet de bestaande regel vervangen, waarbij belastingbetalers net zo'n bedrag op een aanslag in mindering krijgen. De PvdA vindt dit systeem niet rechtvaardig, omdat arme gezinnen geen belasting betalen en dit voordeel dus niet hebben. Het voorstel past ook in het streven van het kabinet om ook op de eilanden de armoede terug te dringen. Als het voorstel van de PvdA wordt goedgekeurd, zal het Nederland jaarlijks 800.000 euro kosten. Regeringspartner VVD is niet enthousiast. ChristenUnie daarentegen is blij met het voorstel. Op dit moment is niet duidelijk of er een kamermeerderheid voor is. Tot zover het ochtendbulletin.
Het nieuws werd u aangeboden met de complimenten van Razo, jouw eigen radiostation, Razo Radio.
Let me ask my question.
Okay, well, the news is over now. We just want to get back to finish up because time is against us. Thank you for standing by. Okay.
Yeah, the question or the contribution I wanted to make is that with all of these findings that the Ghanaians have the highest level of
The Ghanaian youth.
The Ghanaian youths have the highest level of poverty. I want to say here that from time to time, from my own little understanding, is that it's like they study different groups. So different migrant groups. So the time of the Surinamese have gone, the time of the Antilleans have gone, and I think this is the time now for the Turkish and the Moroccans as well have gone. So the minority group among them, I think the Ghanaians are more focused. So they have the majority more than the Nigerians or the other ethnic. So I think this is the time. So if they are saying that if they base their findings, their research on these two, Moroccans and
No, it's for all the youth, but the Ghanaians stand up. That is that.
Yeah, because their focus is more for the Ghanaians. That's what I think, because this is the season for the Ghanaians. Secondly, I want to say that they do not have to drag the spiritual leaders in a negative connotation, because from what they were saying is like the youths are going to church, they are paying their tithe. Why would they always want to take something from that area of tithe? Because how much really is the tithe? Like somebody who is out there listening, the tithe means 1/10. That means if a youth is having 200 euros in a month, the tithe is just 10. So that 20 euro isn't going to solve the problem, and is it going to make the person now not to be in poverty level. So the earlier we address the reason why they are on poverty level, like they are not getting the jobs they are supposed to get. They are not. Some of them have studied here well, good, and they are not getting the real jobs they are supposed to get, like their counterparts. You know, their parents spend all the time doing the menial works, because we go about blaming the parents for not training them very well. But these are the same parents who are doing the menial jobs. By the time they finish doing the cleaning, because they don't have the certificates, some of them have the certificates, but they have not been given the opportunity to have good jobs because of the language barrier. no matter how much they speak the Dutch, they still tell them that they cannot speak the Dutch. I was in a course sometime, religious leaders course, and then I was so shocked when they are saying that the Ghanaian youth or the migrant youth cannot be a doctor, cannot be lawyers, cannot be this, cannot. I said, why not? They said they cannot speak good Dutch. I said, but they are born here. These kids are born here. So they said the phonology where they pronounce the words, and they cannot be the same level with the Dutch citizens. I said that is bias. So if they want the leaders to do something, the spiritual leaders to do something, they don't have to come up with an accusation. Why are they paying their tithe? Because that tithe is minimal, it's too small to be compared to the level of poverty that is gripping the people. So the pastors are doing counseling, the pastors are helping this society. All of the money we are saving the country from sicknesses, which those who are depressed supposed to go to hospitals, but through our counseling and through our spiritual guidance, these people are no more in mental houses. If you calculate how much the pastors, their jobs are saving this economy from, they would rather decide or look for a way to better more the condition of the pastors than to bring them to a level of ridicule. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to add something because I think that...
Can we do it in just 1 minute?
Okay, just 1 minute. Because I think that they always say that the church and the state we are not separate. But whenever there's an issue, they want to run to the church.
Yes, to bring solution.
Because they can never sit in their office and judge that the children... Do they know how many youth who pay tithes?
Yeah.
Have they come to visit the church and know the youth who are paying the tithe? It is out of imaginations.
Yeah.
I agree with
and sometimes we have to engage with these leaders, and we too have to explain. Because we cannot be used.
Absolutely. There was a lady who was in our church, and in fact, I think she had a problem raising her children. She has a big psychological problem. One of the first things they stopped her from doing was to pay a tithe. Meanwhile, I mean, that's somebody who's already on welfare. So how much tithe is she going to pay, you know? So that's the first thing they stopped her. But meanwhile, you know, that is a duty that God honors when people do, you know. But okay. So people have a certain notion. They think the tithe is maybe 50% or even more of people's income. And so they think that's such a big money that we have to arrest. Anyway, on this note, I would like to thank you.